Hey there, welcome to lesson 1. It's time to start building your understanding of imposter syndrome, what it is, why it holds you back, and why it holds back those you lead. Whether you're here for you or for those you lead, I really hope that you are going to learn something new about people and how they operate, and how you can become a better leader, whether it's because you're ditching your own self-doubt or because you're helping others work through theirs. If you haven't already, go and download the Ditch Your Self-Doubt PDF workbook. The link is in the same email where you click to get this video. But let's start with the definition. When we talk about self-doubt, we are often referring to the technical term imposter phenomenon, also known as posterism, fraud syndrome, or the imposter experience. This shows up as a pattern where an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments, and has persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. To quote a paper in the Journal of Behavioral Science, those with imposter syndrome remain convinced that they are frauds and do not deserve all they have achieved, despite evidence of achievement, accomplishments, and competence. If you have ever perceived your success as being dependent on luck or a deception of those around you, then you may be experiencing imposter syndrome. There's some suggestion that self-doubt, imposter syndrome is more prevalent in highly skilled jobs in academia, medicine, senior management. Every time a new study emerges, a larger proportion of the population is seen to be at risk. It's grown from just women to 60, 70, even 80% of people now. So it's more prevalent than you may know. If you lead a team of 5, potentially 4 out of 5 of them have experienced self-doubt, are going to experience self-doubt. It's very prevalent. And that's something to bear in mind whenever we're leading people. I'm yet to meet someone who, if I spend enough time with them, they haven't experienced it. My husband used to be one of those people who I genuinely thought never got imposter syndrome, just wasn't somebody who was going to experience it. And then, after some time together, but showed up in him too. So always take any feelings of this isn't a thing that I experience, or it's not in these people, they come across as arrogant or anything like that. Take that with a pinch of salt, all right? Sometimes it takes years to develop and a specific trigger. Other times, imposter syndrome, self-doubt is there but buried, pushed down, but consistently under the surface and crucially holding us back. So let's step back from this a little bit and consider the business implications. At the end of the day, as a leader, the business implications have to be at the forefront of our mind. If we're going to invest our time in fixing this in ourselves or helping our team work through it, it's really worth understanding the business implications of imposter syndrome. Not just your imposter syndrome, but why you're here and the wider implications of team members with imposter syndrome and leaders with imposter syndrome. Because imposter syndrome doesn't just hurt the people who experience it, it hurts the teams and businesses that they belong to. Imposter syndrome really describes a set of beliefs that has us feeling that we are frauds, that we are somehow lacking or unworthy, that we don't deserve our successes, or that it's only a matter of time before we're found out. Left unmanaged, it can lead to some really serious issues. Firstly, burnout. It's one of the leading causes of burnout. With burnout on the rise, if your imposter syndrome is in the way, this is one of the first things to tackle. Missed opportunities. We like to hide behind our fraud feelings and not put ourselves forwards, because we have to challenge our self-doubt in order to take opportunities coming our way or even to see them. It has a negative impact on personal relationships. Our constant feelings of self-doubt, imposterism, fraud don't just impact our professional relationships, they can really negatively impact our friendships, the relationships with our loved ones. If we're going around all the time feeling terrible about ourselves, believe me, it impacts your personal relationships. And of course, there is far more. I'm just scratching the surface here. If you are in a leadership role, it pays to keep an eye out for team members who are struggling with feelings of inadequacy. Here's the number one message you need to take away from today's training. Everyone loses out when bright people are held back because of their limiting beliefs. If fear didn't play a part in what you are able to achieve, ask yourself, what sort of difference would I make to the world, to this business, to my family, if fear didn't get in my way? If it didn't play a part in my decision making and in my actions? Ask yourself that honestly. To make the changes that you dream of when you're just lying in bed at night and just dreaming big and crazy with unlimited potential without those filters, you need to make decisions based on rationality, not fear. But the average person is not very rational, despite what we like to tell ourselves. There are people, starting with your friends, family, co-workers, but even bigger than that, who want to benefit from your full range of skills, experience, and abilities. But when we sit in this fear because of imposter syndrome and self-doubt, we limit who we can help. Now, look beyond yourself. What if everyone in your team, everyone in your organization is currently acting with self-doubt, making decisions based on self-doubt, not facts? Before you assume that you're the only one experiencing your limiting self-doubt beliefs and that a lot of arrogant people around you really don't have this problem, remember 80% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers, and it shows up in many ways, including arrogance. So assume that 80% of the people you work with are making decisions from a set of limited beliefs. Suddenly you can see potential available, not just to you, but to your entire organization. That's why we're talking about this. Tackling self-doubt in yourself and in your team is important, especially if you have ambitious and those wildly important goals. Sometimes just to allow yourself to choose those ambitions and exciting goals, get your team behind them, you need to tackle self-doubt first. You absolutely have to tackle it in those around you if on a mission to change the world. One of the most damaging ways that self-doubt can impede progress is when major initiatives are allowed to just quietly die out. They're suffocated by competing priorities in action until they disappear and no one noticed. There are lots of strategies out there to focus on the wildly important, act on realistic measures, something I coach people in all the time. But all of these fail at the first hurdle if you don't tackle imposter syndrome in your team first. Everything is harder when your team is more plagued by self-doubt in everything they do. So over the next 5 days, we're going to be working on shifting your mindset so that you feel great about raising your hand in a meeting, putting your name forward for a project, a promotion, or a pay rise, throwing your hat into the ring, reaching out to the person that you were terrified to speak to but know it would be good for your career. And then you're going to start coaching your team in the same mindset shifts that you are going to go through. So the first thing I want you to do, if you haven't already, go and download that PDF workbook and work through the first exercise. That's day one's exercise. I want you to simply list out times where you have limited yourself, where your limiting beliefs are stopping you taking action, stopped you stepping up, or stopped you making the case for you and your team. That's it. That's all we're doing today. Short and simple. But there is a need to do this first and then wait 24 hours. So stick with me here. The most powerful tool in our mindset toolkit is purposeful reflection and unconscious processing. That's why this course is delivered over 5 days. I could give you this all in one go, get it done, and wrap it up. Sure, you'd get results, but I know if you take small amounts of action over 5 days, revisit your answers, then move on to the next lesson, you will learn more about yourself and will receive a bigger mindset shift as a result. The PDF workbook that you will download includes all the tasks for the coming 5 days because, hey, I love to know what's coming and I'm guessing that maybe you do too. There's no harm in looking at those actions, but I urge you to wait to take action until the appropriate lesson, the appropriate video has landed in your inbox. That's it. That's it for lesson 1. I will be back in your inbox tomorrow to talk about how to identify imposter syndrome in yourself and in others. But remember, whatever you do, you owe it to yourself and to all of us to start acting as bright and capable and, yes, powerful as you really are. Because everyone loses out when bright people play small. Bye for now.